Nervous system regulation. I love that this term has become more popular or known about over the last few years, that people even know that it exists. Because several years ago, when I tried to get into this topic and exploring myself through nervous system regulation and other somatic based tools, um, it wasn't widely known. It was like this random, maybe even woo-woo thing that was pretty far off from people's reality, distant from their reality. Why am I talking about this now, today? Well, basically, I saw an Instagram post with a person showing other people how to regulate their nervous system. And it was something like, look to the right, look to the left, tilt this way, do that. I was like, oh my God, I need to say something. I need to say something because that's not the first time that I see that kind of post. A lot of people will say, oh, I regulate my nervous system through chiropractic work or bowspring or journaling or going on walks or yoga, meditation, fill in the blank. There's so many different tools that can be supportive for regulating the nervous system. But it doesn't sound like people understand what got their nervous system dysregulated in the first place. Because when you know um, how something functions, then you can just undo that functioning to get it to come back to its natural state. If you don't know how it functions, then you're going to keep trying all these different tools in the hopes that it's magically going to help you with whatever it is that you're struggling with. In this case, nervous system regulation. So let's talk about it. In our natural state, when we're really simply being aware of ourselves or conscious of ourselves, just in a state of being, our attention is pretty open. It's not contracted into something. It's not hyper focused. It's not closed off. It's open. And our nervous system in this way is pretty regulated. It doesn't mean that you might not experience a challenging feeling that can be painful or challenging, as I said. It doesn't mean that feelings are kind of in a sort of blank slate and you're kind of just kind of like going as a zombie through life. That's not it. You're still pretty much alive and you feel stuff, but there is a pretty big range of tolerance to navigate any intense feelings that can come your way. So there's still movement internally, which can cause your nervous system to go like this, but you know how to ride the wave because you're pretty grounded in yourself and who you are, and you're not getting lost in those feelings. So that's like, this is my explanation, the most basic explanation of natural state. You in your natural state and what the nervous system can be experienced as. Now, when we're not in our natural state, which means that our attention is very focused on our thoughts, like hyper focused, which means like identified and caught up in and believing our thoughts and the stories we tell ourselves, that starts to create a sort of contraction in the body, and it keeps us the border collies, there are two border collies playing around. It keeps us from being able to navigate our feelings and our sensations in an open and flexible way. And then what happens is that this sort of like when your attention is all in your mind, it starts to create this hyper control in your body, which starts to create a sense of pressure that doesn't allow you to navigate the ups and downs of the feelings. And it starts to, in this way, dysregulate your nervous system because your attention is all in your mind. So what does that mean? To undo that, we start to bring our attention out of our mind and into our body. We start to rest our attention in our body. When we start to rest our attention in our body, we start to become more comfortable. We start to learn how to become more comfortable with experiencing the feelings and sensations that are existing in that moment in our body. And when we start to do so, there's this greater flexibility and range of tolerance to be open to whatever it is that is alive in us. And our nervous system starts to self-regulate or become more flexible. So it all starts with bringing our attention out of our thoughts, out of our stories, out of thinking, and allowing it to widen or open up so that it includes, so that our attention is settled in ourselves and receptive and meaning all the different experiences that we might also be having from the neck down. So that's the basic functioning of then how to have your nervous system regulated, flexible, open to meet all of our lives' demands and navigate whatever comes up. What then happens, if this is the basic mechanism, based on my experience, direct experience, I didn't read about this anywhere. This is like my direct experience after 15 years of learning how to self-navigate. Based on this mechanism, whenever someone does an activity like receiving a chiropractic adjustment, a massage, going to a yoga class, a bowspring class, meditating, journaling, drawing, dancing, conscious dancing, there's so many different activities. What's actually going on is that after a set amount of time, when you're engaging with your creativity or your body or your self-expression, what tends to happen, it's not a rule of thumb, but what generally happens is that your attention starts to soften out of being hyper-focused in thoughts and stories, and it starts to settle into your body, which is exactly the mechanism that I had described. It tends to happen. And then when that happens, you start to relax and your nervous system starts to feel more regulated because you become more open to meeting and experiencing what's already there. And you're just more settled in yourself and in your body. But then the thing is that a lot of people become addicted to these different tools because it makes them feel so good. I mean, there's so many benefits to different tools. I'm talking about this angle specifically. It makes them feel good, so they become addicted to these different tools. And the thing is that it's not 100% that you're going to feel that great after it. So like, when you go to yoga class and sometimes you feel great after it and sometimes you don't feel great after it. It's like it didn't work, like the magic didn't work. That's because your attention didn't come out so much of your mind and into your body. And so it kind of feels like you're still stuck up there. So what this means is that you become dependent on a tool to get your attention into your body unknowingly. And then sometimes it works and it feels good. Sometimes it doesn't. But the thing is, you're dependent on it. And what I would like to speak about in this video and in this channel is about learning for yourself this pathway so that whether you're driving, doing the dishes, taking care of your kids, sitting still, doing bowspring, going for a swim, whatever it is that you're doing, you can operate this mechanism internally for yourself. You don't depend on a tool to feel good. You know how to get your attention out of your mind and spreading into your body or resting in yourself so that your nervous system can start to learn how to be regulated, live regulated with your nervous system in a day-to-day life. That's the focus of my sessions. That's indirectly so much of what I speak about in this channel. This is what this video is about, so that you can just feel good, feel good. Not depend on a tool to feel good, not need to become addicted to a tool in order to feel good in your day-to-day life, which was pretty much my experience. About 15 years ago, I started doing breath work, yoga, conscious dance through ecstatic dance, 5 rhythms, open floor. There were so many benefits that these tools brought me. But at the end of the day, I found myself, having to constantly rely on them and practice them in order to feel open-hearted and solid in myself and good in myself. There was a dependency in it because within a few minutes, hours, or days after the practice, I would start to get stuck in my head again. I mean, I didn't know that's what was happening, but what was happening was I would start to get stuck in my head again, and life would feel crappy again. And then I had to go back to the class to feel good again. And it was just this yo-yo experience. And one day I started waking up again from it. I was like, I cannot dance 24/7 a day, 24/7 hours a day in order to feel good. Like I can't sustain this. Like I need to work. I need to do other stuff. And I actually would like to just feel good when I wake up without having to do anything for it. I would just like to wake up and feel good and go through my day and feel good. So when I started to ask those deeper questions, slowly people started to arrive into my life, and I started to shift directions, and I started to learn this internal mechanism that I spent most of this video talking about, which is how to get my attention out of my mind, recognize that it's there in the first place, learn how to start to settle it into my body, into my sensations, into my senses, learn how to go even deeper and further than that, and start to learn how to allow it to sink and rest in who I am. And in this way, my nervous system becomes more flexible to meet the different demands, and I feel good throughout my day, regardless of how hard life can get, because sometimes life throws some massive curveballs. So yeah, I hope this video is explanatory and clear around nervous system. If there are any questions about the mechanism, how it works, or if you got stuck somewhere, something that's unclear, please drop it below. I'd be more than happy to answer them. It's really important that you don't rely on any tool to feel good and to have a regulated nervous system, that to understand that a regulated nervous system can be it can be your daily life, regardless of the challenges that come through. That's it for now.